moving on to the different asset managers, so textures, models, shaders, and images. So here's my header file for the texture manager. Guess that's kind of hard to see, but it's a singleton manager with methods for loading, unloading, and getting the textures. So you could see that here. Sorry, my comments are kind of make everything way bigger. But yeah, it has private and public accesses for each. You can also check the documentation because I have everything set up to be like linked and showing every single function that they have. But yeah, so there's a loading in. Here, maybe my CPP will show it better, but loading in, getting the texture, loading defaults, unloading all textures, and then those are the private ones, and the public ones just call these. And they also have so yeah, that's the load and the get, and the delete. So for when it actually unloads, making sure that we set up our iterator to go to the beginning of the map that we have set up. So the runtime cost for the load and the get is log n, I believe. But in terms of like clearing out the assets, we just go through the whole thing and then delete the second thing, which is the actual texture pointer, and then we go through the next one, and then at the end we're deleting our self, which is the actual singleton. So getting rid of that one instance at the end. So if you want to see, I think that covers everything. Oh, the defaults. I set up defaults just for stuff that you gave us at the beginning, but everything that's default is starting with the cry in capital letters. And I think I mentioned that either on the front page or on the or in the managers, but I think that should be pretty obvious to users, and I seriously doubt any of them will be putting cry in front of their different assets. But all my shader manager, my model manager have the same idea in terms of all of their functions. So all the loading, unloading, and getting is done the same way. I think I already mentioned it, but each one is using a map. So the string for the key, and then the value is the actual asset that we're looking for. For texture manager, it's a texture. Shader manager, it's a shader object. Model manager, it's a model. But this is the same idea. This one has way more default shaders. The shader manager, again, all denoted with the cry and all listed. Everything else pretty much works the same. Moving on to the model manager, again, same idea with loading, unloading, and getting. You can see them all here. This is my model map, model pointers, private and public functions for loading and unloading and getting. So load model through the file path and load model through the pre-made model here. It's a little different. So either one works. There's two different overloaded methods for that. Of course, getting the model works the same way. And then this is my private default models. Again, me including the axis and the plane and the frigate stuff that I think is good starter content. And then also pre-made stuff that we need, like the unit sphere and the unit square XY for spheres and for sprites. And everything, of course, cry, and everything should be documented also. So the associated documentation for this stuff. So if we search for shader manager, you'll find all of my static public member functions and even all of my private ones. And I still try to explain the public part to the user. Loads a shader, it's a public accessor function. Desired shader, name of shader, and then my private leads back to the public one. So again, the idea of just making sure that everything is kind of connected. Unload all shaders will even connect you back to the crying engine's unload content, as well as the private version. So model managers, you'll find pretty much the same idea. This is my documentation. Again, I tried to have literally every single thing custom commented or documented, leading back to everything, of course. So you can see my privates, and then my publics lead back to my engine, where they're called. So just to show that connectivity. So that's shader, model, and what I show? Did I show textures? I don't know if I showed texture, but this one. So they're all the same. Maybe I skipped model. No, model was the first one. So also my image manager is here. Image manager. I forgot to show that, but that just is the same idea. No file reading though on this one, because it takes in textures that we already have, but we can still create an image, get an image, and load default images if we desire, and unload them all at the end. But unload works the same. Default is set to nothing right now because I don't have a need for defaults, and I didn't think it was really necessary, but maybe later I'll add some more. Creating images takes the texture that we're sampling, and we need a rectangle, of course, to actually like sample from that, and then we can name it. So yeah, that other than that, that pretty much works the same. And then this is my image manager, and again, it has pretty much everything listed there. Even my like image map, STL map, pointers, getting the image. So yeah, everything's listed here.